Hey everybody, this is Kyle. I have my good friend Matthew from Matthew's Music with me here. And in the past, we talked about how to find gigs. Say you're new in town, new in performing. What can you do to find places to play to actually get out and perform music? And as I was talking to Matthew about that topic, we ended off that video talking about what can you do once you find the venue. How do you talk to them? What do you say to a venue? Because we talked about things, a lot of times indie artists will hear about having an electronic press kit and EPK that you send, having all this stuff. I mentioned to Matthew, I have never sent an EPK, and I've done over 300 solo shows. So I had this little slide set up. Let me know in the comments if you want to link to this, but this is how to set up a gig. What can you say to a venue to get going? And again, mention some past videos about how to find places that are actually booking people and some strategies for actually finding those places. So let's go and get this started. I typically work in writing whenever I deal with venues and talking about getting gigs and stuff. And Matthew, just going to throw a little silly one out there. Do you have any idea why why I might focus on writing instead of a phone call? Do you have any idea?
I don't know. I would really usually prefer to use my voice.
Okay,
So I'm kind
well,
of baffled.
okay. So me, so many times, like I will get a phone call for business, and this happens at school because I'm a teacher, and I'll either get ma'am, like, hey, Mrs. Walls, how are you doing? I'm like, no, I'm Mr. And then I'll get something like, oh, is your parents around? I need to talk to an adult because on the phone, I swear I sound like a preteen girl. This has been one of the curses of my life. And so when dealing with venues and music stuff, business wise, I try to avoid it. For me, I tend to work in writing. And besides my, how I think I sound on the phone, whenever I was working with a tour manager, he worked exclusively in writing. And in fact, out of 2.5 tours, COVID hit during the third one. He was booking with me. One venue said, hey, can you give us a call? And he's like, hey, I don't know if I want to work with them or not. What I do in writing is I try to stick to the 5 sentence rule in emailing or messaging. When I talk about messaging, it's pretty much through Facebook. A lot of times I will find a venue that is actually hiring people, has a calendar, and honestly, most of my booking is done through Facebook Messenger, because that's just an easy way to get a hold of people. This idea of the 5 sentence rule, that is a business tactic called getting things done. You don't want to waste people's time. So in this 5 sentence format, the basic idea is you ask about live music performing, describe yourself, and then have a call to action. Let's set a performance date. What can I send you to set a performance date? Something like that. And here's what I actually send to people. And I start off saying, hey, I'm wondering about live music. This is what I do. I try to encourage people having fun. I mentioned a little bit about my performance history. It's like, let me know if I can send more details to set up a performance, and then thank them for their time. And that's pretty simple. And this has worked so many times: cafes, restaurants, coffee shops, bars. It gets me in the loop. Now, of course, does I have 100% response? Of course not, but nothing is going to, you're talking about business. But if you target venues that are actually hiring people, that this is a good way to go. To craft your own message, you can take that basic template, ask about performing, describe yourself, say some more details about yourself, and ask to set a performance date and thank them. And of course, you can vary that as needed. Now, I mentioned an EPK earlier. I do have a video of myself live looping and performing acoustics, some clips. I take video of myself performing live to share on my Patreon. And so I have this video prepared showing, hey, here's 2 different configurations of what I do live. But the vast majority of time, no one ever asks for it. I've sent videos to people before, and they're usually saying, hey, sounds good, let's set up a date. Do you have this available? It seems that videos are more interested in if you have some sort of something going on. And of course, talking about people starting off, I can, I can give a little bit more detail on that. But at this point for me, venues seem more interested. Are you doing things regularly than not? For people starting off, it's all about targeting the venues, finding like a coffee shop or cafe, someplace you can go. Do they have a patio? Do they have live music regularly? And it's usually pretty easy to get in the door, get your foot in there, and then get that experience. And then, like I mentioned before, with venues being more interested in, are you performing regularly than not, then you can scale that to other venues. Last thing here, and then I'll see if Matthew has any thoughts about any of this information. After you get some information from the venue, after you've asked, can we set a performance date? They said yes, give you some dates. There are some very specific things you can do, and those are on a screen. Now, each of those would probably be another video entirely. Some of it, is common sense. Some of it might be a little bit more than common sense, which I found out. But if you have some comments or thoughts about this particular topic, some of my experiences, let me know in the comments. If you have some questions for Matthew, we'll see what he says here in a second. Again, let me know in the comments. And Matthew's music channel is linked in the description as well. So Matthew, what do you think about some of the stuff, talking to venues and writing in this basic plan of how to present yourself in a very concise manner? What do you think of that?
I love the 5 sentence rule and what you have in it. I think your little blurb is freaking excellent. It's like a little elevator speech in writing. I think
Exactly.
that's really cool. Really, the where I run into snags is
Yeah.
when we start talking about payment. So at some point in a future episode, I would like to start the comment ball rolling by saying I would like to talk about payment, and really what I run into is when people say, "What do you charge?"
Right.
And then I'm like, okay, I don't even know how much this place already pays the acts that it's currently having. If
Yeah.
I knew, I would probably just follow suit to get the gig. And oh yeah, you pay X amount of dollars per night. I'll start at X amount of dollars per night. That sounds fine. The issue I have is when they come at me with a number or for a number, and
Yeah.
then I have no basis in which to give them one. And most
Gotcha.
of the time, of course, then I'll price myself out of the gig because I'm gonna then, you can always come down in price. Once you say a number,
Definitely.
you can't go up anymore when you're selling a service. So I'll start high, and a lot of times that'll end up just ending the conversation.
Yeah.
So that's really what I want to talk about.
That's a good topic that I have some thoughts on too. So cool.
Yeah, that's my request for future video. But go ahead and let Kyle know any other requests for future videos you guys might have.
Yeah, cool. All right, everybody. So thanks for hanging out. Make sure you check out Matthew's music channel. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.